Hi, y'all. I'm Courtney.
I'm Sarah.
And this is Bodice Tipplers.
The podcast where we read the romance novels we used to steal off our grandmother's nightstands.
And then we drink about it.
So we have a little treat for you today. Or actually a little treat for Courtney.
Happy birthday to me. It's Gemini season. Gemini's coming out and being crazy.
Oh, boy.
So my birthday is coming up, and I've now reached the age where I'm no longer years old. I'm just going to say I'm movies. So, like, I'm 9 to 5 years old, or I'm The Warriors years old, or the Muppet movie years old. So if you want to know exactly how old I am, well, I mean, I'm 40, but I like to say those things better. Like, I feel like I'm 9 to 5 years old has a better ring to it. But because
Star Wars years old is a little bit older, right?
Yeah, Star Wars years old. I think I'm like maybe like The Empire Strikes Back.
No, I think that's later. I think that's like 81, 82.
I don't know.
Oh, God, my husband's so upset with me that I don't know what year that came out in.
Sorry, Star Wars. So to celebrate this new decade, we're going to do a 4 for 40 of books that were like my jam when I was younger. So
buckle up, bitches.
Y'all get ready for some deep-seated psychosis, because we have a series of 4 kind of bananas books coming up.
We would also like to thank you if you have subscribed to our it's still newish.
Yes.
It's still like this is not like the first one, but like it took us a while to kind of separate into our own podcast. So just so that you know, if you signed up by searching Bodice Tipplers, we may have not yet gotten all of our back issues, I guess you'd say, moved onto our feed. So if you are looking for more Bodice Tipplers goodness, and there's not a ton there, you should look at my husband's podcast, the Collinsport Hysterical Society, and you will find them there. And you should, because they're amazing, right? So we're having to put our wine in ice because it is South Carolina and it is the end of May, and
y'all, it's already 100 degrees. It was 103 degrees in my car.
Yeah.
So our wine did not.
It's a little boily.
So the first book that we're going to be doing in the 4 for 40, in the 9 to 5 years old curation collection.
Oh,
my
nice.
Personally curated collection of books.
You're getting a box. It's got like.
So the first one that we are going to do is by one of the authors that I just devoured when I was like a preteen, was Jude Deveraux.
And I don't think I ever read any of her, so this is new for me.
She's kind of great because actually, like, she's a very solid writer, and I don't remember ever having any kind of, like, insane, sexually violent scenes, like, in some of the stuff that we've read, so I feel like maybe I, like, was spared a lot of, like, crazy things.
But I should probably take this opportunity to tell you, okay, this sounds like a funny, fluffy book, and it is, except for the fact that if you don't want to hear fat shaming, there's fat shaming on every fucking page of this book.
There's fat shaming galore.
In addition, there's like incredible like emotional violence done by like the protagonist's family to her.
Yeah.
And it's like really gaslighting. Like it starts off with just being like, I guess you say normal gaslighting. But it gets to the point where she's stealing telegrams and
it gets extreme. So like if you have family drama and you have an experience with this kind of stuff, maybe this isn't for you. But
especially because it's so fluffy, like the tone is so fluffy, that you might be like extra upset by this.
It's kind of wild.
Yes.
But so we are reading Jude Deveraux's Wishes. Now, Jude Deveraux started writing in 1976, and she is like straight up baller in the romance novel community. I mean, she's not Nora Roberts, but like she's like basically like if Nora Roberts is like, I'm trying to think of, like, a super A-list celebrity.
Brad Pitt.
Like, if,
they don't make movie stars anymore, but, like.
If Nora Roberts is Brad Pitt, like, Jude Deveraux is like a Jake Gyllenhaal. Like, she is doing her own thing and has her own fan base.
Like, you might not know how to spell her name.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm looking up, I meant to look this up before. Is that her name?
I don't think it's her full, like, her real name. But she's kind of got, like, a tragic story. I was reading a little bit about it. Her son passed in a car accident when he was 8 years old, and she got really into, like, psychics.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, and I think she's got, like, a lawsuit with some psychics, so, I mean, it's just kind of heartbreaking. Anyway, she sold, like, 50 million copies worldwide has had books just like bestseller after bestseller. So she's kind of a juggernaut.
I'll stop you there. Her first name really is Jude. Her last name is not Deveraux. It's Montessier. So frankly, that would have been good too.
I know, but like she was just, with names.
Not bad. Not a bad name.
The dachshund is right beneath the recorder, so apologies for that little panting. All right, so Jude Deveraux' Wishes. I remember reading this, I think I was probably in 6th or 7th grade.
Which is the right time to read this. This book is insane.
I remember this book just vividly. So I kind of wanted to revisit it and see what kind of batshit stuff I was into, and I was not disappointed.
No, it is amazing.
Oh, before we get started, what the fuck are we drinking? So Morgan Ellis, thank you Morgan Ellis. We are drinking layer cake because there's going to be a lot of cake in this book.
Oh, yes.
A lot of cake.
Jesus Christ.
And then our other one is called, I think, Playtime or Playdate. It's in the...
Playdate, I think. But I don't want to... They're all in ice now because...
They're being iced because they're reds, but they're even too hot for reds.
Yes.
Okay, so thanks, Morgan Ellis.
The one got so hot that the cork is kind of popped halfway out of
so it's going to be an experiment.
Yeah, I'm sure that's completely good for wine.
Completely
to leave it in the trunks of our cars in South Carolina.
You got a Morgan Ellis joke for us?
Well, not exactly a Morgan Ellis joke, because I, for our other podcast, went to get some rum, and I was on my lunch break, and I didn't have time to get a Morgan Ellis, so I went to another liquor store, and they had a sign on the door that said, no bathing suits. And you know who doesn't have a sign telling you can't take your damn bathing suit in there? Morgan Ellis.
Yeah, you could be bathing suited up at Morgan Ellis.
Welcome to my beach body. I take my beach body everywhere I go.
It's always on me.
It's the only body I keep in stock. I looked under the table. I looked in the back room. This is the only body we got.
Okay, so let's start the amazing...
I didn't really look. I pretended to look. I went in the back and took a smoke break.
No, we don't have anything.
Yeah, we'll go look.
Okay, so Jude Deveraux' Wishes.
Read the back. I'll read the back because you got your notes. The back is hilarious for a reason that will become clear after I read it. Jace Montgomery was a stranger in Chandler, Colorado. Tall, proud, and rugged, he would make any woman's heart beat faster, even shy, sweet Nellie Grayson's. Nellie, who has always been pleasantly plump, worked tirelessly to help her beautiful younger sister, Terrell, to become the belle of the town. But it is Nellie who catches Jace's eye. For the first time, she is the center of a man's attention. And with their first kiss, Nellie finds herself falling hopelessly, unexpectedly in love. But with her newfound joy comes the certainty that Jace will sooner or later be won over by Terrell's charms. With the help of an enchanting new friend, Nellie discovers that her flirtatious sister might not be the woman for handsome Jace Montgomery after all.
I think maybe what attracted it to me, at first, was probably, because I read the cover, and this is the cover. This is the original cover.
It's one of those kind of boring romance novels. It doesn't have any people on the cover. It has, a window with a pie on it.
And she usually doesn't do...
But the pie is really the protagonist.
Yes, she doesn't... She doesn't really do overly sexual covers. So I think
it's a horror book, and the pie is the protagonist.
So I think when I was 13 or 12, 11, when I read this, I was like, ooh, you're going through that stage of no one understands me. I'm ugly. Everything's awful. And I was like, oh, the pudgy girl's going to get hers.
Well, at least it wasn't an embarrassing cover. Because we had to walk around with this Fabio book.
Yeah, we did.
For a while. So I have a whole new appreciation.
Okay, so this book, y'all, is... wild.
Remember all those people in 1896 Colorado? This is not who the book starts with.
The book starts in
with a funeral.
With a funeral for Bernie. Bernie is a socialite who died from a heart attack in her sleep. I'm assuming LA. Because it was very
There's a lot of silicone. Yes.
So she was popular, but she wasn't loved. Now, at her funeral, they describe her funeral with, she had prepaid for the funeral, that she had gotten 20 limos to create, a caravan. She wore a $5,000...
$6,000.
A $6,000, red Valentino suit.
And the reason I say that is because I looked it up on the Consumer Price Index, and if that was 1989 when this book came out, that is a $12,600 suit.
So the great
what
thing...
does that even look like?
So everybody comes to the viewing, and everybody's like, oh...
Because they want to see how bad she looks, right?
Yeah, but she looks amazing, of course. And the only person that actually goes to the burial is her hairdresser, and he's bereft because he's losing her business. So he rides in the limo.
Everybody else are these catty
and they all have like nail appointments and stuff like that.
So she, from beyond the grave, is really happy that they put her in that suit because like one of her friends bought that same suit on sale for $4,000, and now she won't be able to wear it anywhere.
Okay, so
it's delightful.
Bernie wakes up in a place called the kitchen.
I actually dog-eared the page where they explain why it's called the kitchen.
It's pretty fantastic.
Because this is like sort of like purgatory, you know. It's called the kitchen because it's like women's life on earth. When you die, you think you're going to go to heaven. Just as you think when you get married that you're going to have heaven on earth. Instead, in both cases, you get sent to the kitchen.
It's fantastic.
Take a moment for that.
It's fantastic, y'all. Okay. So Bernie ends up in this purgatory that's just for women.
But it's an amazing purgatory.
And there's like great jokes. There's a joke about the people that get sent here are like those fake religious people that, you know, like
this
the
is like
ladies,
the medium place.
like the hairspray for holy that go to church but talk trash about everybody.
But it's like it's like legit great. Like you kept looking for like the parts where it's shitty, but it's like you just like eat and
So to leave the kitchen, women have to help women still on earth, like fairy godmothers. But I was like, the kitchen sounds dope as hell, because like Bernie goes to a party and is smoking weed and hanging out with a woman named Susie Cream Cheese, and she thought she'd only been there for a couple hours, and she finds out that like in Earth time it's been 14 years.
Like there's fantasy like rooms where you get to either be like the lady like where the dragon's coming, or I get the impression
or
you
pirates.
Could
like there was like you could be in.
I think she wanted to fuck the dragon.
Yeah, she was like there's one part where she's like, I can't decide in the fantasy if I want to be with the prince or the dragon, and I was like, get it, Bernie.
All right, get all of it.
So okay, so Bernie finds out that she has to take care of a woman who is on Earth in Colorado in 1890 called Nellie, and she is at first repulsed by Nellie because Nellie is.
Wait for it.
This is when it gets wild, y'all.
Wait
this
for
is when
it.
it gets
You ready?
wild. Jude gives us a numeric. She gives us a number for what is considered a morbidly obese woman in this, or not morbidly obese, but we're to the point people
fat enough
like,
for people comment on it in the street. Okay.
Yes. So Nellie weighs 162 pounds.
I'm really hoping that if I dieted.
I mean, Nellie...
She might be like a garden gnome, I guess.
She's like 5 foot, because if she's like 5 foot and 162 pounds...
That's heavy. That's still
or like
not...
5'1", like...
And obviously, it's never okay to talk to anybody like these people talk. Like, to her, I mean, like, we're not saying that any size is, making you less of a person.
The crazy thing about
but she's not even fat.
The crazy thing about it is, I think the one misstep that Jude takes in this book, really, is, like... giving us a number just so that she's heavy, because then people can put in their mind like what they think heavy is.
Everybody knows, and the thing is, like, I really try not to care as much about my weight. I'd rather just get like healthy enough to walk up whatever mountain I want to walk up to.
Yeah.
But I know exactly how much I weigh, or I mean, like within 10 pounds.
No, like that's what I'm saying. Like I'm like my ass is on the scale every day. Like I'm Bernie in that situation.
I'm
being like,
on the scale every day, but I can tell you I'm between like, and I'll tell you, I don't care. I'm between like 170, 180.
Yeah.
And like I am not like stop in the middle of the street, drop your horse's reins and stare.
It's bananas. Like, I mean, she must be like 4'11". That's the only thing I can say. And even if she is, it doesn't matter because
these people treat her like you should never treat a human.
No, it's.
And you have to understand when we say that they fat shame her, every page on which Nellie appears also includes the words fat
or plump or
fatty,
round or like. All these terrible, like, any kind of term...
It's awful.
...that you think can be used is used. And that's one of the, like, it really did, like, reading this, and reading this as somebody who is not, like, a size 4, that I appreciate, is that in, like, contemporary romance novels, like, people have embraced all shapes and sizes because all shapes and sizes are beautiful. And, like, everybody has a body hang-up, like... People who are too thin, you know, worry about being too thin. People who are too heavy worry about being too heavy. And it's like, what it really is health. And like, are you healthy? And it's great to read, you know, so many contemporary authors who talk about a woman who is very slender or a woman who is very heavy in kind of beautiful terms. So that was kind of like a big difference that, you know.
And she's also, it's not just that she's, and we're going to say fat.
Yeah, because that's what they say in it. Like,
and I know that some people really don't like that word. I think that word should be defact. So, you know. And I have, I guess, like, kind of, like, different hang-ups than some people do, because I was super, super skinny through college. And then now I have, like, you know, I hit a certain, like, I guess, part of my life where I'm just heavier. And I need to, like, you know, I'm not happy with how far I can hike up a mountain. So I would like to be able to do that better. But, I mean, you know, the fact is, so I have, like, I wasn't fat as a kid. So it's, like, a whole other thing that other people dealt with. And it's, like, a new thing to me, but she's not just fat. It's also, she is like that stereotypical nice fat girl.
Oh my god, they're like, so they talk about it, like, about how Nellie would just be so pretty if she lost the weight because her face.
And of course, she has a pretty
beautiful.
face.
Yeah,
and she's like she's a kind of fat girl who's super sweet and so kind and so, like, literally self-effacing.
You know what? It's
like she would, if she could make herself invisible, she would. And
fat girls can be bitches.
Yeah. Show me a fucking evil fat girl. Show me Cersei, like tubby Cersei. Give me that.
I think that was the thing they tried to do with that now defunct Heathers TV series. Like,
I didn't watch it.
The bullies, the Heathers, were like, the popular was like a girl who was overweight, and, like, you know, so, like, they had a mean fat girl, and it was like,
yeah,
you know,
because fat people can be terrible. Fat people can be wonderful. Fat people can be anything they want to be.
Exactly.
But yeah,
so,
and this is, like, honestly, it is like an assault. Like, every page.
I mean, because I said, like,
crazy.
in one part in my notes, I was like, wow, were you using all the words to describe this woman that is 162 pounds? Like, that is probably... Yeah, it's wild. It's absolutely wild. So, okay. Well, Nellie, who is, you know, 162 pounds and is the freak show of the town.
Bernie thinks that her assignment's going to be her sister.
Yeah, the
sister. Because
sister...
she sees him through the mirror or whatever.
The sister is named Terrell, and Terrell is beautiful and small and, you know, all these
And she's
things.
cunty from page 1.
Yeah, she is so cunty. So, Nellie, like... Terrell sabotages... Nellie by, like, giving her food.
It's like this constant, like, gaslighting emotional warfare thing where she's like, she'll, like, make her feel terrible about being fat. She's like, it's a shame that you're so fat, here, have these chocolates. I hate how fat you are. And then just, like, watches her shove them all in her mouth.
And then, like, Nellie stress eats. And
by stress eats...
Y'all, it's not... I mean, it's like, it's straight up, like, binging. Like, I feel like it was, like, you're taking half of a disorder with the binging, and there's no, like, of the purging. Because, like, nobody could eat... Well, I mean, I can't say that because I know people who, like, binge eat, and, you know, I have done some crazy things with food. Like, I have done some absolutely crazy things
A
with
normal
food,
bad day for her, though, is to eat the whole cake. When things get real bad later on, she eats literally all the food in the house. She eats a giant roast.
She eats,
like, 6 cakes. She eats, like, 4 pies. I mean,
24 cupcakes, I think.
Yeah, she eats some, like an improbable
and I don't
amount
know if
of
it
food.
was, like, to write that amount of food as, like, trying to be comedic or something. But also, you can tell that Jude Deveraux is a very slender, like, attractive woman trying to write from a chubby girl's perspective. And I'm going to be like, stay in your lane, Jude. Yeah. Stay in your lane.
Because it is supposed to be funny, because it's always written in this very deadpan way. Like, and then she sighed, and she felt, and then, like, it's a very short sentence, and then she ate 6 cupcakes. Like,
and it's like, you know, one be like, Jude, like, you're a good writer, but, like, damn, you gotta realize this is some, like, real world shit for people.
Yeah,
like,
this is, like, a human problem that, like, you know, you're talking about something that would actually destroy, and does destroy human beings. Like, the way that her family is, like, literally gaslighting her entire life, because it's very convenient.
Because she does everything for everybody. And, like, okay.
She's very competent.
So, alright, so... Nellie's dad is a wealthy guy, Charles Grayson, and he had met on a train this guy, Jace Montgomery, and wants Jace to be his business partner.
Jace Montgomery, I think, saved him, like, from some, like, cut purses or something. Yeah, it was
so
from that business.
Jace comes to the house, like, for dinner, but shows up an hour early, and Terrell's like, go see him, and Nellie's, like, dirty and unwashed, and...
She's always dirty and unwashed,
That's the other thing, too. Like, that's the other, like, thing I didn't like about this, like, that's kind of, like, in this...
It's like, not just that she's wearing shapeless garments, it's that, like, she's literally dirty all the time.
Yeah, like, I didn't like that because, again, it goes into this whole, like, fat, you know, kind of idea that they're, you know, like, people are unclean or whatever. Anyway, okay. So she meets Mr. Montgomery, and I was like...
I think Terrell thought that he was going to be ugly and old because, like, it's a friend of her dad's, and did not think he was going to be young and hot.
But Jace Montgomery is some hot sauce, and is a widower and thirsty for Nellie from the jump. Like, and like the other thing, I mean, Jude wrote some really funny lines. So Terrell finally comes down and sees him, and how she describes like Terrell's voice is she used her "there's a handsome man in the room" voice. Like, that's pretty funny, you know. So Nellie's dad is a dick too. There's a book, and like they're fat shaming her at the table with this man,
like trying to eat all the damn food. I mean, like it's
yes.
like that. It is absolutely relentless in this book.
Okay, so we flash back to Bernie, who's been watching this, and she goes on this super fat shaming rant when she finds out she has to help Nellie, and she says, and that's the other thing is like Bernie's somebody who's like obsessive about her weight. So I think it's like partly a reflection on Bernie, and like, did she really get to enjoy life because like she was always worried about her weight?
Well, and we know from the beginning that she definitely had some plastic surgery and stuff.
Oh yeah,
so
she got some fake boobs. And
she's very image obsessed, and of course, you know, if she lets herself think about like, you know, what she might have missed out on, that would not be good for her personally, and cause her to have a downer day.
And again, that's not to say if you want fake tits, get you some fake tits. Like, put them on, get it, do whatever. So, okay. So, she goes on this rant and talks about how Nellie has to be spiteful and mean because she's got to be jealous of her sister. And she says...
evidently Bernie did have a sister who was fat and spiteful and mean.
But like, she thinks she was mean.
Yeah.
Like, okay, cause
I kind of want the book to be about Bernie's
Bernie
sister.
learns a lesson later on.
Yes,
okay, so she says that Nellie can have 3 wishes, and that she bets she uses those wishes to destroy her pretty sister. Okay, so Jace doesn't think Nellie is fat. And I'm like, dude, neither do I. I mean, it sounds like Nellie's like maybe like a size 10, size 8. Like, damn, y'all.
She's got some titties on her, right?
They have some cute banner. All right. And so they go walking around town. But this is the other thing. So there's like a stone wall. And he picks her up to like put her on the wall. And everybody talks about how fucking strong he is. I'm like... This is 1890s Colorado. Like, all these guys probably are deadlifting, like, 220. like, come on.
It is flat out ridiculous.
So, I mean, God knows if they saw, like, a Williams sister in this book, she'd be fucking morbidly obese. And, like, how is she standing? Like, okay. Sorry, y'all. All right, so, he picks her up. They're walking around. They're being cute. And then I put... Oh, Jace doesn't mind that Nellie is an average-sized woman because his mom is an opera singer.
That's the best thing, is that the only reason why he can, like, why he doesn't seem to see that she is, like, fatty 2x4 is that he's used to being around opera singers.
Women, like,
the thing is insane, y'all.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so
he can't just like love the way that she looks in her personality. He has to have some like reason.
There has to be a reason for it. Yeah. So Jude, like, you got to do better. Okay. So they hear a choir practice. Jay sings along because he's a singer too. And I was like, I feel like, because we haven't been given a description of this man. We know what Nellie looks like, that she has dark hair, a beautiful face, and is the size of a house by everyone's descriptors. But we have no idea what he looks like.
Oh, you know, honestly, it doesn't matter. He's just like a stand-in for a, like, amazing guy.
I felt like he just looked like a boy band member. Like, okay. So, Terrell finds out that Nellie went out with Jace and pitches a fit. The family won't let Nellie leave because all the work that she does for them.
And what they do is terrible.
Yeah, so they gaslight her some more and talk about how, you know, she shouldn't be seen with a man walking around.
Oh my God, everybody's sad. Everybody, are you going to have his bastard?
So
like, seriously,
so Nellie, like, stress eats some more. I mean, the whole town, honestly, should have had a King's Landing number done to it by the end. Like, it should have all been fucking burned.
There's one lady, Miss Emily, like, she can stay.
Yeah, but everybody else burned the rest of them because this is the worst town. Okay.
Yes.
All right, so they gaslight them, and then...
But he comes up with this amazing
wait, we have
plan.
to get to this first.
Oh.
So he comes to see her, she's upset, and then... She hides him in, like, the broom closet.
Oh, yeah, it was kind of a great scene.
And so Terrell finds out that he's seen her and starts in on Nellie, and he's, like, kissing her arm.
It's this very kind of, like, silent movie scene.
Yeah.
Like, there's some great silent movies, like, you know, silent comedies, like a Harold Lloyd movie sort of thing.
Like, he lays his cards out on the table from the jump. He's like, I am wholly into you. I want to date you.
Sends her flowers with his name on. I mean, you know, yeah. He's a legit dude.
So, but Nellie can't believe Jace because she has no self-esteem. So, all of her wishes end up being for other people. So, she makes a wish that, like, Terrell gets to be the most popular girl in town, and that her dad gets all the money he wants, and that they both get what they want from her.
Right.
Which enables, like, essentially enslaves her to the family.
And the funny thing is that, like, what Bernie does is Bernie is just, like, so grossed out by this whole concept of, I don't know, being fairy godmother to a fat girl.
Yeah.
That she just kind of throws that out there, like, fine. She can just do some wishes. Like, they said that she can do anything magical that she wants to, but, like, she's just, like, she wants to get back to the pleasure domes of the kitchen.
Yeah.
And so she just tosses that, and then she leaves. So she doesn't see anything that happens for a while.
So, do you want to explain Jace's amazing plan?
Oh my god, Jace's... By the way, should I mention that his name is Jocelyn? I think I should mention that.
Yeah, his name is Jocelyn. And his dad, we'll get to his dad. His dad's name is apostrophe R-I-N-G.
There's got to be...
Warring. He's got to have a book about him.
Oh, yeah.
She did write, not to interject, but, like, Jude Deveraux, like, the majority of her books were about the Montgomery and the Taggart
But
family.
you can smell the people in this who are the subject of other books, because there's a couple, and his name is Kane, and her name is Houston.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are definitely romance novel people.
All right, so explain Jace's master plan to get some alone time.
Now... Or to convince her that her family is nefarious. And I only realized on the way over here, like, holy shit, this is also gaslighting her.
Yeah.
Okay, her dad is a fucking shithole, which everybody else knows, but she doesn't. He, like, one of the reasons why he won't let her go is that he's super cheap, and he only hires the shittiest of servants. Anna,
he doesn't
right?
want to make.
Yeah, he doesn't want to pay any money. So, he will fire people all the time because, like, he can make more money by squeezing a couple other people. So Jace is working for him just to get closer to Nellie and not telling anybody that he is the heir to, like, all the monies.
Yeah.
So
he's like he's a Kitty Buckport, like, his family's from Maine. So, he's got that Maine money.
Oh, we talked about Maine kind of recently. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's like Colin's money.
He is. Yes.
So, what he does, after she won't see him anymore, because, like, she's like, you have lied to me, because she can't let herself not believe her family. Because if she lets herself not believe her family, then imagine, how shitty her life is.
She makes a good point toward the end of the book about, like, if I had just walked in and said your family was lying.
Yeah.
So, I mean, she makes some good points. Okay.
Right, and of course, we all know that, like, it's very difficult to realize how bad your abuse is. Yeah,
exactly.
But so he comes, and he's like, okay, I know you don't want to talk to me, but I was really hoping that you would teach me how to make biscuits. Because she's a great cook. Of course, all fat people are great cooks, right? Oh, my God. So, and he's, like, all getting the biscuit stuff wrong, and he's not even writing down what she says, just to get her to, like, understand that he's gonna fuck it up. So she's like, fine, where are we going to make these goddamn biscuits? And she's like, he says, oh, well, they're these starving children. And that's her Achilles heel, is children. She just, like,
because, again, she's a fat girl who must be
fat girls want to nurture, right?
Yeah.
Like, she's like a broodmare in waiting, right?
Oh, God.
Yeah, seriously. So she hears, like, children, and he tells her, because he's trying to, like, explain that her dad's a piece of shit, like, yeah, your dad let this guy go, and, he's got a wife, and he's got, like, 6 kids, and so I hired him, like, myself to, like, haul corn and stuff, but, like, the wife is sick, and the kids are desperate, and they're starving, so
everyone's starving.
So I was gonna go, and this is the part that she should have been like, what? I was gonna go make on biscuits!
Yeah, it's the stupidest
This is not a man who goes make anybody biscuits. But, so he's like, she says, oh, you're just gonna get it wrong, let's just go, I'll go, come on, let's just go.
She's like, there's children who need my help.
And he's got, like, a buckboard full of supplies, but he doesn't even know what's in there. He doesn't know the right stuff or what. And they go out there, and it turns out that he has paid these, or just, like, worked out a plan with these people. But the dad didn't kind of understand the plan, so the dad's still there. So he's got to run ahead, and it's like, no, go. Yeah. And the wife is like, oh, it must be love. And so the wife sets the children against each other.
Yeah.
So they're all screaming and, like, poor looking when they get in there.
The book is really
funny. But on the same time, you are gaslighting somebody who you realize that their family is gaslighting her. Yeah. But the sheriff comes.
They have to stay the night because there's no lanterns.
It's nutty.
And then, like, everybody thinks that Nellie, and appropriately so, has disappeared.
Yeah. Because actually, Jace took the note, which is kind of shitty behavior.
Yeah. So...
Yeah. Okay. So that's his plan. Like, that's his genius fucking plan.
So
he couldn't find real poor people.
He couldn't find real poor people. Well, again, she gets put on lockdown. Terrible things are said to her. It gets really monotonous in that point, so I'm going to kind of slough over that. Like, he's sending her stuff, and he gets sent back, including a puppy.
Yeah, sends her a puppy, and he thinks she doesn't want the puppy.
Yeah. All right, so he had asked her to a ball, the harvest ball, or whatever. So she had a dress made.
And see, Terrell was not invited to this harvest ball because she made such an ass for herself last year.
But then Nellie made the wish and she got invited.
Yeah.
So her and Terrell are getting ready. And of course, Terrell sabotages the dress and gets ink put all over it and stuff.
And it's a really dumbly elaborate plot, too.
But then, when Jace comes to the door, he kind of knows what's up with Terrell, and he's like, oh, well, I brought you a dress, and here are all these people to, like, fix you up. Mm-hmm. So she has her Cinderella moment, because this is very much a Cinderella story.
Terrell even burns her hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
she's the belle of the ball. Like, everybody wants to dance with her. Then Jace makes them, like, here's the thing. You never confront the bitchy girl.
No.
And so he confronts Terrell and tells her that she's a brat. And I was like, not a great move. So Bernie, meanwhile, in the kitchen, is living her best afterlife. She is soaking in tubs, watching reruns, and drinking.
It's amazing.
All right, but then she starts watching what's been happening to Nellie. And almost has a breakthrough. Almost. Like, she's right there, y'all. She's on the cusp. But then the most amazing thing happens.
Yes.
So, again, the kitchen is all for women. But if a disaster happens, like, let's say...
There's, like, overflow seating.
If there's a shipwreck of 228 sailors, they can't sort those sailors fast enough, so they get sent to the kitchen. So
there's dick.
There's dick.
No, I mean, there's dick in the kitchen constantly, but it's like fantasy dick. This is actual.
Yeah, so
like,
Bernie and
dick.
like all of the women, like, because women get like an Egyptian woman is like, there's some dick, we gotta go. So
Bernie is like seeing it,
and she's
upset about everything that happened, but she's like, oh shit,
get skinny,
get skinny,
is what she says. So she wishes Nellie thin,
and then she disappears again. To not see, what happens.
So, in the meantime, Terrell tricks Jace into thinking his father's sick and sends him back to Maine.
So, like, why wouldn't you send a telegram, like, back and forth between, like, getting on the damn train?
And then she starts spreading all these rumors about Jace, but also her sister. And I'm like, this is still a time when, like, your social status is stock. So it's like
people believe that Nellie gets knocked up.
But, like, that would damage your own reputation, Terrell.
It would.
Like, I don't understand that.
But, of course, it would also make Nellie completely unmarriageable, which is what Terrell wants, because, like, oh my god, can you imagine if she had to do the cooking?
So, like, everybody thinks that Nellie's a hoe and Jace is a brigand. Nellie is like hella eating, y'all. Like, again, to the point of like farcical.
Like in that scene in Spirited Away when No Face eats like literally the entire fucking bathhouse. It's like that. Only we're supposed to think that that's something that a human could actually do.
But then she's getting sick or she's getting skinny because magic. And I was like, Jesus Christ, I need a Bernie. Like I need a Bernie to be like, boop, and I could just eat ham.
Yeah, but you know what? The most unrealistic thing about this book is she gets super skinny, but she keeps her tits.
She does keep her tits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess if it's Bernie magic,
Bernie would protect your tits.
She's gonna like subconsciously think you get to keep your tits.
Yes.
All right, so Nellie gets a makeover from Miss Emily. And I was like,
that's the tea shop owner.
Yeah, Terrell's being Terrell. Like, a lot of the same stuff happens. It's a lot of Terrell saying stupid things, Nellie believing it. And there does come a point, because Nellie is a 28-year-old woman. Like, and I did get frustrated with Nellie.
Like, come on, Nellie.
Okay.
And part of it is that she is stuck in her own curse. Like, literally, she wished a curse on herself.
She did, yes.
That she can't interfere with anything about their comfort.
So she finds out, like, Jace returns and, like, tells her the truth. And, like, she can't leave because of what Bernie did. Yeah. So Bernie's still living it up. I was like, she's been eating forever, and she wants to go fuck or ride a dragon. We don't know.
It's amazing, y'all.
So Bernie watches everything, and she learns the lesson that being skinny doesn't make you happy, and is now getting fully involved. So Bernie sees Terrell as like, that's me, so I want to go battle me. You know, like it was
She's got a boss fight in mind.
It was like a face-off situation.
It is kind of amazing, actually.
So she goes to Earth and becomes this long-lost aunt. She tries to fix stuff.
But she's got like all of her magic, so she's not like at risk or anything.
At first, like, Terrell is still beating her at her own game.
I know.
I was like, bitch, you're from like the 1980s when everybody was doing coke. Like, you should be much more.
That means that Terrell is a girl at a time. Like, she should have been running a fucking company in 1987 with like a giant fucking shoulder pads because she would own the world.
Yes. Okay, so
because now we're at the point. Okay, now we're beyond like the kind of gaslighting. We're like, oh yeah, you're so fat, don't eat these chocolates. We're at the point where she's hiring somebody to write letters, like that are terrible letters. I mean, like we are way outside the grounds of what is it all like. We're into crimes now.
Yeah, it's crazy. So okay, Bernie makes it to where Terrell and Nellie's dad are going to get what they deserve and be happy about it. So.
And I actually thought this was really interesting because Bernie understood, and I think this is something that people don't get about traumatized people, that if she had revealed all of this and just made these people miserable, even if it hadn't put together, that it would have made Nellie miserable because she loves these people, even though these people are nightmare people. Yeah, so the best thing to do for Nellie, even though what I wanted to do is rip the mask off.
Oh my god, it's so great. Okay, so
that's later. Okay, we're not quite at the point where they
No, okay, so what she fixes up for, basically she gets Charles and Terrell out of town into Boulder.
She says that there is an entire Boulder City sale, 50% off. The entire... and it works, too. Like, you can tell, there's, women just...
She finds a handsome but poor farmer, and this is the best description. She was like, he's handsome, but he's poor. And he has got 6 kids, but
6 illiterate kids.
He said that
you just gotta throw this guy to the wolves.
This is for Terrell, is that he has a good heart and he's vigorous in bed. So Terrell and he love at first sight. For the dad, she finds a rich widow to spend his money. So what she does then is Chase and Nellie are still at crosshairs about you don't believe me, because Nellie goes and tells Chase that she was wrong and she loves him, and he's like, man, it's too late. So. Nellie,
this is great.
Bernie packs this insane picnic basket, y'all. And I'm going to tell y'all what's in the picnic basket in a little bit. So she sends Nellie off and tells her there's some injured orphans.
Yes.
And then she goes and tells Chase, she was like, oh, I sent Nellie to the wrong place. I sent her to this abandoned mine, so he goes off.
It is some Scooby-Doo shit.
Yeah.
But I just realized, though, she packed this elaborate picnic basket. This portable hole.
Yeah, but she made it magic.
No, but you know what? You know that Nellie is okay because she doesn't eat the whole fucking picnic basket.
It's true.
Because in the rest of the book, she would have eaten the whole picnic basket.
So I was like...
imagine, when I say feast, and you're thinking, turkeys with the frills on the legs and all, that's what we've got in the picnic basket.
What she said, it was Bernie is a hoot, because she's still watching him. Bernie is watching in her magic ball. Chase finds Nellie and they start to argue again, and she's like, fuck this noise. So she makes this giant thunderstorm, and then she says, it's time to use the sexiest phrase of all in romance novels.
I do admit I love this fucking trope.
She's like, we better get you out of these wet things.
I do love when that happens in romance novels.
So, they end up, in an abandoned mine shaft or
I don't know if
something.
any of the rest of y'all ever watched Hanayori Dango when it was still an anime, but that happened. Oh my god.
Yeah, it is the best. Okay, so they do the we better get you out of these wet things. Nellie's wearing a tablecloth, and Chase is wearing, Jace is a half robe?
A lap robe.
A lap robe. And so...
Well, in a minute he ain't wearing none, so...
So, she packed them this is what's in the magic picnic basket. And I was like, fucking A, why is Bernie... Well, I think because I might be Bernie. Bernie packed 3 bottles of wine, 1 bottle of champagne, food.
And they immediately break out the champagne, too. They're all right.
So they bang it out in a storm. I was like, it's sweet and kind of boring because, there's really, it's just, there's no foreplay. He's just, kissing her, touches her boobs, and then it's just in there.
And does the virgin thing that we've talked about extensively.
But the one descriptor that we have of Chase is that there is hairy roughness.
They're all hairy, dude.
All right.
Except for Grey Eagle. That's still your...
Well, Grey Eagle, and then the one that we talked about, Matthew Cutter.
He's too good.
He is too good. So we flash forward like 2 or 3 years later. Nellie and I keep wanting to call him Chase.
Well, because that's a more reasonable name.
It's a hard, like, Jace is hard for me. I don't know why. I'm not good with if it's like I want it to be like Jason or Jamie or something like that. I'm not good with
It's a stupid fucking name.
All right, so Jace and Nellie are married. It's Christmas. His family is in town.
This is supposed to sound sweet, but it sounds like a fucking nightmare to me. That there are like 8 million children.
Terrell's is married and happy, and like Terrell still is not doing anything. It's the family taking care of her.
No, like your reward if you're a good kid in Terrell's family is to touch her dress.
Yeah.
Like how? Bernie, why did you do that to that perfectly nice man and his children?
So everybody is happily ever after, and then Bernie finds out that she's on to phase 2. So there's multiple levels of the kitchen. So she was in level 1, and now she's going to level 2. And y'all, level 2.
It's amazing.
Jesus.
You had to pick, though.
Okay.
No, we don't have the choices. The choices are great.
So, level 2, they said, like, level 1 was really pleasant. But level 2...
Level 1's fucking dragons. And I don't mean, like, dragons, like, whoa, dragons. I mean fucking dragons.
What they say is, they're like, level 2 is, it's time for you to pay your dues. Because you're going to have to deal with the stuff that women on Earth, like, good women on Earth, have had to deal with. And Bernie was like, this is it. I can't. Bernie buried her face in her hands. They're all too horrible. Couldn't I just go to hell and be burned alive for eternity? I'm afraid that's the easy way out. You didn't earn heaven while you were on earth, so now you must suffer as other women have suffered. All right, you must choose. Okay, so these are the scenarios that Bernie has to choose from while she's in level 2 of the kitchen.
And y'all pick which one y'all would do.
Yeah,
we'll do a poll.
Yeah, I love a poll. Okay.
Yeah, we'll do a poll.
All right, number 1, a trip across America in a sports car with 3 kids and a dog.
That'd be no.
2, backpacking and sleeping in a tent with your stepchildren.
I mean, what kind of stepchildren?
Number 3, TV that runs only PBS pledge drives 24 hours a day.
Oh, Jesus Christ, that is bad.
Number 4, clothes shopping with a man. Clothes shopping with a man, Bernie whispered in horror. It's more horrible than you can believe. Before you leave the house, he makes you tell him exactly what you want to buy, what color, what style, what fabric. In the store, he folds his arms and glares at you and looks at his watch. Sometimes you have to stop with him for his own purchases.
No!
You search 271 stores for exactly the pair of shoes he wants. You finally find them, and he says the stitches on the toe are 1/32 of an inch too long. It's the truest thing, because that's my husband with buying stuff. Okay. Number 5, dieting while raising 3 teenage daughters. 6, at home with 8 sick kids or 1 sick husband.
Oh, shit.
7, driving a car with a male passenger who keeps screaming and whimpering. 8, trapped in an elevator with your husband's ex-wife. So, we have 2 more. 9, a husband who's retired and wants you to spend every minute with him. And 10, a boss who constantly makes passes at you. Like, this is really funny. Like, that's the end of the book. So, parts of this were ingeniously funny to me. Like,
I wanted to love this book so hard because it was a romp. It was delightful.
It was like if we hadn't had this awful, like, because I feel like it was 2 different things happening.
And please understand that this book is only like 300 pages. This is not one of our 500-page motherfuckers.
No, it's super short. So, like, oh my gosh, we have a lot to unpack in our questions.
Oh, man. We have a lot to unpack just in terms of, like, what the hell is going on in the last quarter century of the 20th century in terms of...
It's bananas.
It's a lot, man. It's a lot.
So, okay. No, question time. Question time.
I'm not sure that these can really encompass...
I think they're good. Like, I think it's gonna...
No, it's a good tool.
It's actually gonna provide a lot of really good insight, I think. Okay, so Bechdel to bitch ratio.
This is interesting because...
Bernie.
Of course, we got 2 different people. We got Bernie, we got...
Nellie.
God, even her name is like...
Nellie was a throwaway character for me. I feel like
She wasn't a person.
I feel like the framing device of this
was the real story.
Was so much more interesting.
And she's the person who grew.
Than the romance. Yeah, like, I loved Bernie because I think, I don't mean to interrupt, but like, I feel like Bernie has like real growth.
Yeah.
Like, Bernie was someone who only thought of Bernie, and then she, like, sees what's happening to Nellie, and then she, like, thinks about her own life. And, like, one of the things that she does do that I remember, like, in one of her fantasy places that she goes off to, was female friendships. And she talks about how she doesn't have any female friendships.
Yeah. Like, she'd always heard, and she always imagined female friendships. And, I mean, like, you see the very first scene of the book is her funeral with these...
Yeah, but she was also awful to them, and so like they
had this like nasty kind of idea of like what women are like to each other, which is like this not. I think
what it was is this like what the media.
Yes,
you know, like that's what I think is
the
like,
soap opera kind of.
Yeah, so I mean. I think it's really interesting because I think, like, the Bernie side of it, like, you do have real conversations because there's Pauline.
Well, yeah, I was looking for her name. Pauline is her kind of spirit guide.
Spirit guide from, like, from the early 1800s, 1700s, that they would kind of come,
And there's a point where you can tell that Pauline is just kind of dragging her along. It's like, the Pauline's kind of faking it just to get the reaction from Bernie that she's like, you know, oh, no, that fat girl like can take care of it. Yeah.
She's kind of like the Clarence. Yeah. But so I do think that, like, it is interesting, and I think, like, the framing device of it is a much sharper take on women, and, like, I feel like that part of it was really showing you what Jude Deveraux can write. Like, the rest of it, I feel like, was kind of like her just doing, like, what she, you know.
I did think it was very interesting. Terrell's friends are, like, Terrell's like the queen bee.
Yeah.
Okay, and so she's got her little, and she convinces them to destroy her sister's reputation, which, remember, this is the 19th century. Yeah. It's irreparable. Yeah. And the way that it happens, it's funny, because there's one girl who's like, I wish she would get me illicitly pregnant. I mean, but it's also, I don't know, it's sharply written.
I feel like this could have almost been a little bit longer.
Yeah, I would have been happy for this to be longer.
Because I feel like then you could
but not more of the same gaslighting scenes.
No,
but like,
you could have fleshed some of it out. Like,
you spent the whole book waiting for Bernie to come back, though.
It's weirdly sophisticated.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. So, this one is kind of, like, the bastard to bay ratio, like, again, I feel like he is just...
a shape, like a dude.
Just like a handsome face. Like, if you think about, like, a team, like...
It doesn't ever see what he looks like.
If you have... like, I'm not talking about, like, a teen romance, but I'm talking about, like, a teen movie about friends, and then there's gotta be just a handsome dude so somebody can kiss somebody at the end.
Yeah.
Like, he's the guy...
Like, not an asshole, not a football asshole,
but
just like a...
like, a good example of this. Like, where it's... The main story is about the two girls, but we have to have one of the girls make out with the guy.
That's a win. Like, the win is the guy. So it's not like some asshole or something,
Like, where he's like...
I know there were books, movies like this, but I can't think
where he's the sweet, dumb jock, but it does, like, he's such just, like, generic that it doesn't even matter, because you're like, oh, yeah, she got to kiss somebody, but, like, oh, she found herself is more the story of
it's
it.
like her story.
Yeah.
Because there's really, I mean, the sad thing is, like, he's one of those characters where what he is the character. So, like, what he is rich, and his mom is an opera singer. By the way, weird. Like, the whole thing, like, oh, yeah, I like big women because I'm used to seeing big women is insane. But we'll go with that. But just, like, stuff like that, like, it's like his circumstances, nothing about him as a human.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's beside the point.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's just so there's a handsome face to kiss. Like, that's all he is. So, I mean, I feel like, I kind of like that about this book, because this is really the first one of these books that we've read where it's, like...
It's really about her.
Yeah, if you think about, like, it's always been, like, dude stuff, and my husband is cleaning the garage. If you hear, like, weird noises and swearing in the background, it's time for, like, the thrice annual garage cleaning. He does it 3 times a year.
Can he come to my house?
Oh my god. My husband is the gruff Marie Kondo. Like, instead of being like... He's like... We can make a fortune, because instead of being like, does this bring you joy? He'd be like, fuck you, you're getting rid of this. It's like... It would be like... It would be like the Hound... comes and cleans your garage.
Oh, okay.
Like, where it'd be like, fuck off, you don't need this.
Because we're having a garage sale, and I'm trying to do that for myself. You know how hard that is to be your own gruff hound Marie Kondo? It's really difficult, and it's emotionally exhausting. Oh my God, and then I have to go sit down and have a drink.
He, again, at least twice a year he does this.
Dude, okay. I am not kidding. I will pay him.
Okay, so this was kind of fun because, like, this is when I exactly read this. Would your 12-year-old self have dog-eared any pages?
They do it.
They do it. She, like, it's at the very end. But I think I would have, like, again, like, he's kissing her arm. They're having, like, it's very sweet.
But they do that thing because she's a virgin, and it's and he like stops halfway. They do that kind of.
Or they have a whole conversation. Like, I love the conversations. Like, okay, yeah. So,
honestly, I was thirsty for it. So yes,
my 12-year-old self would have loved it. My 12-year-old self did love it because I remember this book explicitly. Mm-hmm. So, all right, This one I feel like, the CW level of authenticity.
Actually, I have something to say about that because I have wanted to know, and I would like to know from. I know that because we are like big fat nerds. There's probably some academics or like domestic academics in our listeners. The way that she keeps talking about, I would like to lose weight. I've tried to lose weight. Hey, I can promise you.
She hasn't, yeah.
But is that something you would have even said in the 19th century? Lose weight. I've heard, like, reducing, like, in the 20s.
They don't, I don't think they use the term lose weight. I think there is a term that people have said, but I can't remember what it is.
Like, I've heard reducing a lot, but that's a 20th century thing. But, I mean, just, like, the idea, she doesn't say diet, thankfully.
Well, they don't, like, their language is completely, like, but, again, it's weird because
it doesn't feel, like, terrible because the whole thing feels so inconsequential that you're not, like, it's not like Cat to Fashions where you're like, well, I'm going to look up what actually happened with a nutmeg tree because I don't buy this for a fucking minute.
Yeah, no.
I mean, it's not like
because
that.
Again, it's like, it's couched in kind of farce. And again, I know that this is supposed to be like a Cinderella kind of story. So, I just think...
Also, I will point out a Weekend at Bernie's. You didn't notice that?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So, I think the one thing I wish it, like... happened with it is that I wish that the farcical tone had been kept up a little bit. Like,
it's like Jude Deveraux did not realize for a minute that anything there could hurt somebody.
Yeah, and I think, again, because if you look at the pictures of Jude Deveraux, she is a thin, beautiful woman. Like, and I think that's the kind of interesting thing. And like I was talking about earlier, that I find intriguing is that you look a lot, like, at more contemporary books, and like the great thing about these contemporary books is that there's a story for everybody, not only like in size but also in like people of color points of view, and like there's a book for everybody, and like everybody's voices
I'm really
are
happy
being
to see
heard.
More like books about people with disabilities.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's just kind of like, it's wild to look at
because you can tell
book.
that like the Jude Deveraux, and granted, I would have maybe written that book back in the day because I did not understand what my friends who were so upset about their weight were upset about. This woman has never, if she's been heavy, it was like something that she hated herself so much.
She's like,
that she was okay with writing this. Like, okay, if you have not read this book, you're thinking that we are overstating this. It is on every fucking page.
Like, it's crazy.
If you weren't such a fatty.
I mean, I wish I had bookmarked, but like, I mean, y'all, it's
nuts.
It's crazy. Like, it's just absolutely crazy. So, I mean, they like shame her at the dinner table about like eating a cake. And then, okay, like, they talk about it. Hold on. It's hard to go through this, but, like...
Yeah, it's hard to talk and scan a book, so...
Yeah, it's like...
Sorry, I would vamp, but I can usually talk
like Jace is all surprised, like, oh, well, the family thinks she's fat. And like, no, like, you got that by the end of dinner? Like, no, from the beginning of it, they were like, you ate the whole cake again, Nellie. I can't believe this. This is the third time this week that you've eaten a whole cake. Or...
A whole cake that, by the way, she baked.
Yeah. And then it's like...
Frankly, if you bake a cake, you get to eat it.
And then there's like a whole section about like, where Bernie goes off on her, calling her, like, I mean, there's like basically like fatty boombalatti.
Yeah.
Like terminology is being used.
They actually do at least once they say not just fat, but fatty.
Fatty.
Somehow fatty is way more
Yes.
cutting than fat. And I'm not sure why, but it sure is.
Okay. Number 5, did you want to slap the heroine? I did a little bit because I just got kind of tired of like the... I don't like... It's not that I don't like, but like saccharine sweet heroines. Like,
yeah. And it was especially offensive because that is such a stereotype of quote unquote good fat women.
And I feel like again, like I feel like that the story of this was supposed to be a Cinderella situation, but you've added gaslighting and all these other kinds of crazy things to it. That
like it's if Cinderella's stepsisters weren't just like, oh yeah, right, yeah, you would never get the prince, but as in rather, you never went to the ball. Your name isn't Cinderella.
You're a
fatty fat daddy.
You're a dumb fat bitch. Like,
yeah, but who and actually had literally convinced her you had never gone to the ball.
Yeah,
I mean, but this is a woman whose experience, if this were real life,
oh my god,
terrible trauma. It's hard to talk about this book because it is in such this funny tone.
Yeah, it's weird
and it's well written, which makes it harder. Like if it were inept, then it would be
I mean, because like again. The framing device of it is possibly the best thing that I have ever read in a romance novel. I'm not going to lie. Like, I love the framing device.
Quite frankly, okay, we have talked about, I don't know if we'll ever do it, we have talked about doing our own Bodice to Boys romance novel. I would say that what we should do if we ever do it, we should take this, obviously, we'll do it, we're not going to steal it, but we will take a dead, bitchy, medium place fucking cunts, medium place.
It was the best thing I've, like...
Yes.
The framing device of this is the best thing I have read with you. Like,
and it worked so well because, like, when you read the funeral thing, you might have thought that this woman is incapable of experiencing joy. She's not a fun... No, she's delightful.
She's amazing. Like, I would be friends with Bernie.
Yes.
Like, even bitchy Bernie, I would be friends with. Okay. All right. How racist is it? It's racist insofar that there are no people of color.
No, and which is
which is
typical for this kind of historical.
Yeah. So, okay, how bad are you judging? How about are you? We're gonna change this one for the 4. How bad are you judging me, not your mama, but me for reading this book?
I'm not judging you. I just think that these days, I think that this would not, if it got published, that it would get backlash. It would not be popular.
Yeah.
Because I think that I just can't. I know that fat positivity is like kind of a more recent thing, but damn, y'all.
It's not even, like, to me on this, again, I don't even, like...
It's just mean.
Again, I don't even know if we're looking at that stupid, whatever the scale is.
The BMI scale?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it depends on how tall she is. And, of course, that's for populations, not for individuals. And it depends on your frame and all that. But
like,
holy fucking
about
shit.
This woman that is, like, what the average...
There's a website, and I'm saying this out the cake, but you know what? I'll link it in the fucking blog post, where you can see different pictures of different people who are different heights and weight.
Well, there's like, like the what's my size, where you put in your height and your weight, and you can look at other people. Like, people volunteer and, like, put themselves on there.
So of course, there's people who are your same weight who are real tall, and they're real skinny. Or there's people who are real muscular, or they're just, all sorts of...
I don't know. I just think, for me, my big problem with it was reading it as an adult. As a kid, I think, too, because, like, I developed early, so, like, I was 5'6", and probably, like, 110, 120 pounds, like, in middle school, but I was 5'6", had a period, that whole thing, so I was, like, fully there, but was, like, the fat kid, so I maybe, like, felt like, I think probably I was like, I related to this a little bit when I was that age.
And that's the thing, there was nothing else.
There was nothing else, and so...
And let's talk about that. Like, media about, we'll say, and I hate to use the word normal because it is so loaded.
You know what I felt like? Because again, like, even when I was, like, normal, like, or not normal, like, even though I was, like, a completely normal-sized person, I felt like I was enormous, and so I was like, I'm obviously, like, I have to look to Ricky Lake. Ricky Lake is my person. Like, I have hairspray and I have her maybe baby cake.
I tell you what, so I was, like, in that same period, I was about, like, 90 pounds and 5'7", so I was not like a tiny petite person. I was just like really bird boned. And when I would sit down like on a bench, the fact that my thighs spread out like a normal person's, trying to avoid that word, but yeah, and also because I was skinny fat because I was like incredibly like unmuscular. But you just, like, but I thought like, oh my god, I have to hide that. I had thigh gap for days because literally I look like a goddamn bird that like sips the water. Now I ate everything. Yeah, I just had a really high. I was very genetically skinny.
I get tired of anybody calling somebody a fat or a skinny bitch, like, you know, because plenty of people who are thin and naturally thin go through the same things that people who are naturally heavy go through. It's a different kind of like. But I think what the impetus should be is not. It's not about what you look like. It's about what you're feeling inside.
We're all hurt by this kind of misogyny. Yeah, it's all misogyny. Don't get it wrong. Don't ever think that it's actually about your body. It's about your body in the sense that it is two X chromosomes. Yeah, you know, exactly. Or I'm sorry, even like, you know, your female identification. It is about the fact that you're a woman. It is not about actually whatever size you are. They would hate you anyway.
Exactly. But it's like, you know, you're brought to like hate yourself, and especially like between those ages. When I was in high school, like, I feel like everybody says they get it twisted. Like, I hated myself the most in middle school.
Oh, middle school for girls?
I hated myself.
Jesus. In high school, you kind of find your tribe and shit.
You do. And, like, I saw somebody had posted, you know, we're not going to get on this tangent, but it was, like, talking about all the terrible, like, you know, abortion bans and things that are happening.
I'll get there. I know, but baby, I'm rooting for Bear.
But somebody made the meme or like the post of like, honey, if you didn't bleed through your shorts, period, all the time in middle school, you don't get to say anything.
And we were in middle school at the time when white jeans were super fucking fashionable.
And so it's like, I think maybe the reason what attracted me to this book and what resonated to me is I was at that age where I just felt awkward in my body.
Everything is terrible.
And I just felt awkward. Like, everything had grown. I didn't know what to do with it. I'm 13. I'm tall. I've got boobs. I've got hips. I've got all these things, and I don't know what to do with them. And people don't know how to react to it. So it's just like, you're fat, you know. And I wasn't fat, but like,
they would have picked anything. That's
anything. Yeah.
They would have picked anything.
But I think that's why I was kind of like, I can identify with this. You know what I mean? Like, and so like, I think like when I read all these things being said to her,
you're just used to it, right?
Yeah, I was like, I wasn't like that bothered by it because like those were like what the townspeople were saying to her were like the things I was saying to myself in my head, you know, like. And I feel like once like I got to high school and got a few more periods under my belt, and, like understood what
because in our age, Are You There, God, It's Me, Margaret still had belts in it.
Oh my god, yeah. I was like, I didn't know what that was.
I know, right? It was like this weird thing, but you read all these things that were old, so you didn't know
what the belt was. I was like, what's the belt? Am I going to have the belt?
And the thing that makes me really upset, by the way, is that the new editions of Are You There, God, It's Me, Margaret, they don't have the belt. No. Yeah, and you would never know that there was a belt. Otherwise, that is the only way that I know that there was a belt.
Yeah, it's wild.
I think it's Yale, actually, that has, like, I want to say, me and a colleague spent like an afternoon once looking at their archive of, I want to say it's Yale, of period-related stuff, like booklets and all. And they're way better in the 20s than in the 60s. In the 20s, they're like, okay, so... there's flowers and shit, but all, you know, in the 60s, they're like, your beautiful blossom will butterfly itself like, what do I do with the belt?
I will never forget.
I still don't even really know what the belt looks like.
This is such an overshare, but it's kind of fantastic. So I got mine the latter half of, like, 5th grade because I was, like, again, I was this tall in 5th grade. I was, like, but
I was 11 whatever year that was.
I didn't really understand what was, like, happening. I mean, I knew, but I was like, oh, my God, I'm dying. You know, like, it was very much a my...
Oh, you did that thing that was in all the books.
I was, like, my girl. So, like, I freaked out. And then...
Like in Atlanta, the first adventure.
I called my mom, and she was at work. Because, you know, this is back when you could be home alone while your parents were working, like, in between, like... So, I called my mom, and she was like, there's something under the sink. Just use this. She told my dad.
Oh, no.
My dad brought me flowers.
Oh, bless his heart. That's the sweetest. Oh, my gosh.
I was like, I hate everyone. And, like, I ran away. Like,
Well,
it was the most, it is still possibly the single most.
It's amazing.
It's very sweet, but it's still, like, it's been how many years? Like, it's been, like, 29. It is still a single.
My heart grew 3 sizes.
It's still the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to me.
Well, let me counter that with, so I found out that my mother had listened to, well, it doesn't matter because
she listened to us.
No, she listened to part of it. She couldn't tell me which one she partly listened to, and then she was like, and so why do you do this? So hopefully she won't listen to this, because I'm not saying she failed as a mother, because I that's the time at which I got, like, super fucking secretive, because I was super embarrassed about stuff. This is not my mother's fault. But so, I knew what it was. Well, okay, so I was on the way back from Windy Gap. Yeah, so, and of course I had read all the books and gotten all the, and I've especially, like, read all the volumes of the World Book Encyclopedia. But, and this is kind of an ongoing thing, I didn't want to tell anybody.
Right.
Because I was so embarrassed. So what I would do, I figured it out. Okay, like, I didn't shit my pants. Yay. Oh, it's this. Shit. So, what I would do is I would steal pads from under my mother's sink, but because I wanted to make them last, because I didn't want her to realize I was stealing them. This is like more disturbing the more I talk about this. I would cut them up into and use them.
Oh, it's like
perpendicularly. But of course, that's not going to work so good.
One of my, like, a friend of mine, her daughter, like, she hid it, like, for, like, it took, like,
I could not ask. It could
it's
not
wild.
ask. I mean, like,
and, like,
my God.
Like, the crazy thing is, like, they're super open and they talk about everything, but it's just, like, again, it's just teenage weirdness.
And now, I would never tell my mom that now. I'm sorry, Mom, if you're actually finally listening to my podcast, because I would make her feel terrible.
No, but you know what? Again, it's, like,
that's fucked up, right? But that's the thing, kind of kid I was.
It's completely normal, because, again, a friend of mine, her daughter, and again, they share everything. She did it. She did that same thing. Like, it took, like, her being like,
and I would bleed through my pants.
Oh my God.
And onto the chairs at school, and just, like, tie the thing around your waist, but I wouldn't ask for any fucking help.
The tie around.
Oh my God, the tie around. And
ladies who listen, you guys know exactly what we're talking about.
I had to do that way later than you normally do the tie around, because
God.
I tried the instead when I was with my parents on a trip to Paris when I was, like, late college, okay? And the instead was fine until, like, the tour went, like, way later than it should have. And then there was, like, a spill, and so, like, it was the thing where you had to convince your mother that I'm very cold, we had to buy a sweatshirt.
Yes.
Oh my God, why did I just say, me, an adult woman, hey, Mom, holy crap, I just perioded through my pants.
It's this weird thing of, like, you're still, like, to me, I'm like, we're talking about periods, this is gonna be okay.
Let's do it. It's brave, y'all. We're gonna do brave talk today.
So brave. But, like, no, it was, like, this
dirty. It's like, it's like saying you shit your pants.
Yeah, it's the worst, And
in fact, worse, because I guess you should have known, if you shit your pants, it's always an accident. Whereas if you period your pants, it's like planning a problem.
So, I mean, again, like, this book takes me back to some wild, awkward years. And I kind of love it because I'm like, oh my God.
My stomach is actually in knots right now.
Oh no.
From talking about, like, that horrible, like secret period business. And so now that I know that there are, like, young men keeping tampons in their backpacks because their their female friends might need one. That is amazing. It was like, I remember kids today are amazing.
I remember one time I had to ask, like, when I was in high school or something, like, my father to get, and he was like, it's not a big deal. Stop making it a big deal. And I was like,
it is a big deal, though.
But I feel like once I got over the hump of it, like, it wasn't that big of a deal in our household.
I actually never got over the hump.
Like, my husband will buy stuff for me. I'm always like, I'm the first to be like,
Oh, well, now, yeah.
No, but I'm saying, like, I've always been, like, I don't know. Like, once I got over that weird middle school, like, secretive, whatever, I'm like, fuck it, I'm on my period.
Oh, well, that's the best part about being grown.
Yeah.
And see, the thing is, the best part about being grown, by the way, Mirena, hormonal IUD.
Oh, see.
You ain't got no damn period.
Like, and I think it is really important to, like, again, with everything that's happening, like, it's crazy where we are with, like, old men named Scoot McGraw and fucking Whitey Collins telling women how they need to, you know, provide health care to themselves. And it's just really upsetting. And it's like, again, if you ain't bled through your pants, you don't get a say.
You know, shout your abortion is incredibly important, but I think just shouting your period is incredibly important. So, you know, like, the thing the shittiest thing about trying to get pregnant for me is that I had to have that IUD taken out. Yeah. And all of our dude listeners, except for our super faithful gay guys, we love you, have, like, tuned out by now. But no, then I had to, like, buy tampons, and I had to, like, have it in my mind, like, how long's it been? I think, keep the ticking clock and it sucks.
And I think like really pissed, like, that, before we move on, the thing that really fucking pisses me off.
No, go on, please. We got time.
Is people talking about late term abortions. Let me tell you. The people who have had late term abortions have basically been me. I didn't have a late term abortion. I lost my son at 39 weeks, 5 days. I lost my son when he was a fully formed person. I lost my son when he was my son. I have a room that I still have a room for. I have all of the things. I had car carriers in my car. So these women that are having to have late-term abortions, and, like, here's the other thing, is, like, I can tell you from this other, you know, like, this other side of it, like, when they say, oh, you've lost your son, when you are...
Sorry, I'm opening up another bottle of wine for Courtney for this.
When you are 39 weeks, when you are 37 weeks, when you are these late term weeks, or, like, it doesn't matter if you're at any stage, but there are different variations. But, like, if you are a full term, you're losing your child, what happens next is you have to start thinking about, how does this child come out of me?
Anything after about 20 weeks, frankly, I think is kind of that thing.
Well, that's when they consider, like, full, like, that's when they consider stillbirth.
Because we're talking about, like, you know,
but, like,
after
you're talking
viability.
about, like, these late-term, like, women who choose, that have to terminate a pregnancy at full term. There's a reason for it. It's that you don't want this person that is going to be born and live for 2 hours to be in absolute agony during these 2 hours, is essentially what happens, or it's going to kill you.
Yes.
And so, you know, this idea, this treating people who go through what will be the hardest thing they've ever gone through in their entire lives as, like,
are there even 2 clinics anymore, or is it just down to 1 in America?
I think, like,
for a third trimester
the
abortion.
story I read about a woman in New York who had to have one.
Because imagine also think of all the places you can't afford to travel this weekend.
Well, this is the thing, is,
you'll
like,
be traveling
she had to. I read about, like, this woman who had one, and it was a situation where, like, they were so excited, everything was happening, but then it was like, oh, he's not growing the way they're supposed to, and then, like, come week 36, they're like, well, there's a problem, and here's the problem.
Week 36 it was week 34 and a half. It's when I actually ended up having a super emergency. So imagine we're not thinking about, like, a little fluttering in your tummy here. We were talking about
week 37 is when they're considered full term. So, you know, she's, like, in that stage, and she was in New York, had to fly to Colorado, where basically they gave her something to essentially, like, stop life, fly back, and then they would give birth, you know? Like,
it's ridiculous.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
You should be able to go to your hospital and have somebody take care of this.
You're demonizing people to, like, again, they're going through something that you can, like, there's no imagining. There's no, and, like, don't go up to people and be like, I can't imagine it. No, you can't. You can't imagine it. And to demonize these women, you know, I know I'm off topic, but it's like...
No, you are completely on topic, and this will be on topic for every goddamn podcast will we ever do.
I'm just so mad.
You don't like this, you can go fuck yourself.
I'm just so mad at everything that's happening and this war on... And here's the thing. It's a war on women, because you find with, like, incinerating fertilized embryos because they're not in a woman. You don't have a problem with a fertilized embryo that's being kept because it's not inside of someone. Mm-hmm. So
it's not punishing your behavior.
Yeah, it's a fucking war on women, and I'm about done with you, all of you.
Well, and allow me to go back a few months in our abortion ban story, because I would like to talk a bit about what is very popular, which is a 20-week abortion ban. Okay, so what you don't know, if you have never had a baby or been a partner of somebody having a baby, is 20 weeks is when you get that real anatomy scan.
Yeah.
And trust me, you're thinking, 20 weeks. Well, no. At 20 weeks, your dad knows, okay?
Yeah.
You're not hiding anything from anybody. At 20 weeks, you are fully in maternity clothes. Yeah. In fact, I will be happy to share a picture of me at 20 weeks pregnant. That was the last time we actually went anywhere to Bull Island. I was very pregnant looking.
You're about done with it at 20
When you're
weeks.
imagining a lady who's pregnant, you're actually not imagining a 40-week pregnant lady, because you're imagining like a behemoth, like Godzilla, but like a giant. 20 weeks is when you think of that cute pregnant lady who's shopping for cribs. That's 20 weeks, okay? Mm-hmm. You are not able at 20 weeks to have been not pregnant. Yeah. Everybody you've ever met knows that you are pregnant. I mean, you have socially, you're completely pregnant. That's when you find out if you have major, like things that are not just incompatible with life, but incompatible with a life that has any meaning.
Yeah.
Okay? So, 20-week abortion ban. And if you are a man who's a legislator and you have a wife who has children, you have probably been at this appointment. So, fuck
They don't go to those appointments, those fuckers.
No. You probably go to the 20-week, because you know what you find out when that's 20-week? Is if it's got a penis.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, they do go to that 20-week one because you might see a dick then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, seriously, when you try to ban abortions at 20 weeks, what you're doing is you're not stopping women who are getting rid of unwanted pregnancies.
No, you're punishing... What you're doing is you're punishing people who are losing their children.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing. You're like, that is a wanted child. That is a child that somebody wanted. And what you're doing is putting further criminalization on somebody who's already going through something absolutely hard.
And of course, you're saying 20 weeks because it doesn't sound quite as terrible, because it's not the people whose babies are encephalic. Yeah. But it sounds okay because you can do this thing about like F1 fetal movement and all. Yeah. That is a goddamn jelly bean.
Yeah.
And what would I say if my mother had aborted me? Absolutely nothing, because I would have been a goddamn jelly bean. And in fact, I will tell you that my mother told me, and this is kind of fucked up, but when I was like in high school, that's when I was born in 1980, and my parents were old, which means that they're our age. My mom was 38 when I was born, and that's when all the work was being done then about maternal age and Down syndrome, and they had the amnio, which is of course at the time the only way to test for that, and was possibly like you could have a miscarriage if you had the amnio, but they had it, and my dad wanted to abort if I had Down syndrome, and my mother told me that, and in retrospect I'm like, that's kind of a fucked up thing to tell your kid. But in also retrospect, that should be your choice no matter what.
Exactly.
So, yes. Okay.
Fuck Alabama, fuck Kentucky, fuck Georgia.
Missouri, I believe?
Fuck Missouri, fuck all of them. Fuck them all.
Mm-hmm. But don't fuck them all, because are we in line with this Lysis Astra thing?
I am. Okay.
Yeah, all right.
Sorry about this. I'm not sorry about the rant.
You are not sorry about it.
All right, so this brings us to our last question: is what type of booze is this?
Oh, book? Okay. It's the blood of our enemies. It is. The book.
I like it. I like this. The blood of our enemies is the type of book, or the type of booze this book is. So, yeah,
it's a hard time to be a woman, and frankly, this book just kind of proves how internalized this can be.
Yeah, I mean, it is weird to read this and just be like, Jesus, Jude.
She drank hate with every will probably actually not sip from the breast, because at her age, when she was born, it was probably like, oh no, your breast is of the sex demon. You have to give him some sugar water from Nestle.
So, yeah, fuck it. Fuck it. Blood of our enemies.
Yep.
Fuck all these states. And fuck South Carolina, because they've got one coming up, too.
Oh, they always have one coming up. I mean, the thing is, I feel like they feel probably emboldened now, but like every goddamn year, they put up a ban.
You know what? Here's the thing. Here's the other thing that I'm going to say fuck you to.
Do it.
Fuck you to all of the film companies that have not pulled out of Georgia. Fuck you. Fuck you to every major corporation that has companies in Alabama, that has companies in Kentucky, that has companies in Georgia. Pull the fuck out and make them pay.
And, okay, so I have seen people saying, oh, well, that's just hurting the people who work for them. You know what? The only thing that worked to kill HB2 in North Carolina was fucking PayPal saying, fuck you.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I get it. Trust me. We live and work in South Carolina. We are hurt. We were hurt for decades for the NAACP ban on the flag, and it was the right thing to do, because the only thing they care about is money. They don't care about the right thing to do. They don't care about people. They don't care about anything except for their wallets. So, the only place we can hurt them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fuck them.
Fuck him.
We out.